In this world, some stories are written with gold, and some with dust, but the ones that stay in our hearts forever are written with loyalty and sacrifice. Let me take you back to a time when two young boys ran barefoot through the streets of a small African village. They had nothing, no wealth, no power, only dreams. Dreams that one day life would give them a chance to rise above their struggles. Their names were ordinary then, but destiny had something extraordinary planned. As the years passed, life pulled them in different directions. One of them fought battles, climbed through ranks, and eventually became a leader of his people. His name was Ibrahim Traoré, a man known today across the world. The other? Life was not so kind. He ended up in poverty, fixing cars as a poor mechanic, struggling for every meal, every breath, every day. But here's where the story becomes more than just history, it becomes a lesson. Because one day, fate brought these two childhood friends together again, not as equals, but as a president, and a man forgotten by society. And what happened next? It wasn't about politics. It wasn't about power. It was about humanity, about remembering who you are, and never forgetting those who walked with you in your darkest days. So don't go anywhere, because in the next few minutes, you're going to witness a story that will move your heart, the story of friendship, struggle, and the true meaning of leadership. The story of Ibrahim Traoré and his lost friend. The sun was setting over a small village in Burkina Faso. Children ran across the dusty streets, chasing old footballs made of rags, laughing like tomorrow didn't matter. Among them were two boys who shared not just a game, but a dream of a better life. One of them was named Ibrahim. The other, his closest companion, was a boy whose smile could light up even the darkest day. They didn't have much. Their toys were broken sticks. Their playground was the open field, and their wealth was only their friendship. At night, they would sit under the stars, whispering about the future. One day we'll change everything, Ibrahim would say with determination in his eyes. His friend would nod, believing every word. But fate, as always, had its own plans. As they grew older, life began to separate their paths. Ibrahim, full of courage and ambition, stepped into the world of struggle, discipline, and leadership. His friend, however, found himself pulled down by poverty, unable to escape the hardships of daily survival. Two boys, once inseparable, were now walking very different roads. What they didn't know was that destiny would bring them back together. Not as children, not as equals, but as a leader and a forgotten man. Years passed, and the small boy named Ibrahim had grown into a young man with fire in his heart. Life in his village was still the same poverty, hardship, and struggle. But Ibrahim was different. He could never accept the idea that people were meant to suffer forever. He wanted change, and he was ready to fight for it. With nothing in his pocket except courage, Ibrahim joined the army. It was not easy. The training was brutal, the nights were cold, and the days felt endless. But Ibrahim had something most others didn't: determination. When others fell, he stood tall. When others gave up, he kept pushing forward. Slowly, his name began to spread among the soldiers. "This young man, he has something special," they whispered. But even in the army, life was not fair. He saw corruption. He saw leaders who didn't care for their people, only for their own power. And every time he saw injustice, his blood boiled. "This is not what I signed up for," he thought. "If I am to wear this uniform, then it must be for the people, not for selfish men in power." Through battles, sleepless nights, and countless sacrifices, Ibrahim climbed the ranks. He was no longer just a soldier. He was a leader in the making. His fellow soldiers began to follow him, not because of his rank, but because of his courage and honesty. For them, he was more than an officer, he was a brother, a protector, and a symbol of hope. But deep inside, Ibrahim never forgot his childhood friend. Sometimes after long marches, he would look at the stars and remember those nights under the sky. Where is he now? What happened to him? He would wonder. Life had taken them apart, but destiny was preparing a reunion that would shake both their worlds. Ibrahim was rising, but his friend was falling deeper into poverty. Two lives, two directions, yet their story was far from over. Far away from the army camps, in a dusty little corner of the city, Ibrahim's childhood friend was fighting his own battles. Unlike Ibrahim, he never got the chance to study further, never got the chance to dream big. Life had pushed him into a small mechanic shop, a place filled with the smell of grease, broken engines, and endless struggles. Every morning before the sun even rose, he would wake up, wash his face with cold water, and prepare for another long day. His hands, once soft and innocent like any child's, were now covered with scars, cuts, and oil stains. His clothes were worn out, his shoes broken. But the biggest wound was not on his body. It was in his heart. He would watch the rich drive their shiny cars into his little shop. They barely looked at him, never saw him as a human being. For them, he was just the mechanic. They threw money on the counter without even thanking him. And every time it happened, he felt smaller, weaker, invisible. But deep inside, he carried a silent strength, the will to survive. At night, when the shop closed and the city lights faded, he would sit alone outside staring at the sky, the same sky he once shared with Ibrahim during their childhood. Memories would flood back, two boys sitting together, dreaming about the future, talking about freedom, about hope. But now those dreams felt like lies. His voice would break as he whispered to himself, "Where are you now, my brother? Did life give you the chance that I never got?" Despite the pain, he never gave up. His earnings were small, sometimes not even enough to eat properly. Yet he worked harder each day, fixing broken machines, while his own life felt more broken with every passing year. Poverty chained him, but it could never fully kill his spirit. He believed somehow that life still had something waiting for him, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day. And while he struggled in silence, destiny was writing a plan to bring him face to face once again with Ibrahim. But this time they would not meet as two innocent children under the stars. They would meet as two men. One a soldier of justice, the other a survivor of hardship. And that meeting would change everything. Years passed. Ibrahim, now wearing the proud uniform of a soldier, had seen the world of discipline, duty, and sacrifice. His chest carried medals, but his heart still carried memories of the dusty streets of his childhood. And somewhere in those memories was the face of a forgotten friend. One evening, Ibrahim was returning from duty. The streets were crowded, filled with the usual chaos of life vendors shouting, children playing, people rushing. His vehicle broke down right in the middle of the road. The driver looked helpless, but a man from a nearby mechanic shop walked forward. His clothes were dirty, his hands black with grease, his face tired. But his eyes told a story of survival. As he bent down to check the engine, Ibrahim stepped closer, curiosity pulling him in. For a moment, time froze. Ibrahim's heart skipped a beat. Could it be? No, it couldn't. But those features, those eyes, they were all too familiar. "Brother, is that you?" Ibrahim whispered, his voice trembling. The mechanic looked up, stunned. His breath caught in his throat. He dropped the tool in his hand, his eyes widening with disbelief. Tears welled up instantly as his lips trembled. "Ibrahim?" In that moment, the world disappeared. The noise of the market, the honking of cars, the shouting of people, everything went silent. Two childhood friends stood face to face after years of separation, one in a soldier's uniform, the other in the torn clothes of a laborer. Two lives, two paths, but one bond that time could never destroy. They hugged tightly, the kind of hug that comes after years of loneliness, the kind that makes your chest heavy and your eyes burn. Ibrahim felt the weight of his friend's struggles in his trembling body. His friend, on the other hand, felt the warmth of a brother he thought he had lost forever. As they sat down on the roadside, memories came flooding back, the games they played as children, the promises they made, the nights they spent talking under the stars. But hidden behind those smiles were scars. Ibrahim could see the lines of suffering on his friend's face. His friend could see the burden of war in Ibrahim's eyes. They didn't speak much. Sometimes silence tells a deeper story than words ever can. But inside their hearts, they both knew. Fate had brought them together again for a reason. This reunion was not just about friendship. It was the beginning of something greater. Something that would test their loyalty, their courage, and their dreams. That night, after years of separation, Ibrahim and his friend sat together under the dim light of a street lamp. The soldier and the mechanic. 2 lives, 2 journeys, 2 worlds, but one unbreakable bond. Ibrahim's uniform was neat, polished, and shining. His boots reflected discipline, his posture reflected strength. He had the respect of people, the security of a profession, and the pride of serving his nation. Yet deep down, he carried the silent weight of war, of lost comrades, of battles fought in deserts and jungles. On the other side sat his childhood friend, clothes torn, hands rough with scars of labor, face lined with years of struggle. He had no medals, no uniform, no applause from the world. He carried something else, the scars of poverty, the disappointment of broken dreams, the pain of being forgotten by society. But when they laughed together, none of it mattered. For a moment, Ibrahim wasn't a soldier, and his friend wasn't a mechanic. They were just 2 boys again, the same boys who once chased each other on the dusty roads of their village, who shared one piece of bread when they had nothing, who dreamed of a brighter tomorrow. Ibrahim's friend spoke with a shaky voice. "Brother, life has been cruel. I worked days and nights just to eat once a day. Sometimes I thought maybe I shouldn't have lived at all." His eyes filled with tears, but he quickly wiped them away, not wanting to look weak in front of his brother. Ibrahim placed a firm hand on his shoulder. "No, my friend, you are stronger than me. I fight with guns and armor, but you fought life with empty hands, and you are still standing. That makes you braver than any soldier I know." The friend looked at him stunned, and for the first time in years he felt seen. The world had ignored his struggle, but Ibrahim gave him respect. Respect that wealth could not buy. Respect that power could not command. That night, they shared stories Ibrahim told him about the battlefield, about the loneliness of a soldier who never knows if he will return home. His friend told him about the hunger, about the nights when he had no roof over his head, about the jobs that paid him less than what he deserved. Both stories were different, yet both were full of pain. And in those differences, they found similarity. 2 different worlds, but one heart, one bond. As dawn broke, the call of the morning prayers echoed in the distance. Ibrahim and his friend stood side by side, shoulders touching, eyes closed. 2 men from 2 different journeys, yet united by the same God, the same land, and the same love for each other. In that moment, they realized life had separated them. But destiny had brought them back not by accident, but by design. As the first rays of the sun touched the horizon, Ibrahim and his friend sat quietly. The night had been heavy with memories, but the morning carried hope. They didn't speak for a long time. Sometimes silence carries more weight than words. Their eyes told 1,000 stories of childhood games, of lost years, of silent struggles. Ibrahim finally broke the silence. "Brother, I don't want us to ever lose each other again. The world took us to different roads, but now we must walk together." His friend looked at him unsure. He had nothing to give. No money, no status, no power. Only his loyalty, his honesty, and his scars. He whispered softly, "But Ibrahim, I have nothing. You are a leader now, I am just a poor man." Ibrahim smiled gently. "You are wrong. You have everything: courage, experience, and a heart that never gave up, even when the world crushed you. What I have is position, but what you have is truth. And together we can bring change." His words lit a fire in his friend's heart. For years he had lived like a shadow, forgotten, invisible. But now, Ibrahim gave him something more powerful than wealth. He gave him a purpose. In that moment, without speaking, they made a promise, a silent promise, that no matter what the future held, power, poverty, war, or peace, they would not walk alone again. They would rise together, or they would fall together. The friend reached out his rough, scarred hand. Ibrahim took it firmly in his strong soldier's grip. 2 hands, 2 lives, 2 fates, bound together by loyalty. It was not just a handshake. It was destiny sealing a promise. As the morning breeze touched their faces, both men stood taller. For the first time in years, the friend felt he was not just a survivor, he was part of a mission. And Ibrahim knew that with his friend by his side, he was no longer just a soldier, he was a brother, a protector, and a leader with a greater purpose. The city was waking up. Streets filled with noise, vendors calling, children running to school. Life looked ordinary. But for Ibrahim and his friend, nothing was ordinary anymore. They walked side by side through the crowded bazaar. People greeted Ibrahim with respect, some with fear, some with hope. But when they saw the poor man walking with him, confusion spread. Who was he? Why was a leader walking with a man in rags? Ibrahim didn't care. For him, this was not about appearances. This was about truth. He turned to his friend and said softly, "Do you see these faces? They are hungry for change. They are tired of promises that were never kept. We cannot fail them." His friend nodded, though doubt still lived inside him. "But Ibrahim, the road ahead is dangerous. Power is not given. It is taken. Enemies will rise. They will call us rebels, traitors, even criminals. Are you ready for that?" Ibrahim's eyes hardened. "I have faced bullets. I have faced betrayal. What I fear is not death. What I fear is silence. If we stay silent, they will keep suffering, and I will not let that happen." The friend felt the weight of those words. He realized Ibrahim was not just a man of war. He was becoming a man of vision. And visions demand sacrifice. As they continued walking, children gathered around, smiling. A little boy tugged Ibrahim's sleeve and asked innocently, "Will you make our lives better?" Ibrahim knelt down, looked into the boy's hopeful eyes, and whispered, "I will try with everything I have, but I cannot do it alone. I need all of you. I need everyone." The boy smiled, not fully understanding the depth of the promise. But sometimes hope doesn't need understanding, it just needs belief. And so, step by step, the two men walked into an uncertain future. The road ahead was filled with challenges, but also with purpose. For the first time, they were not just surviving the world. They were ready to change it. And in that walk through the streets, a movement was born. Quiet, invisible, but powerful enough to shake a nation. Night had fallen, and with it came whispers of danger. Soldiers loyal to the old regime were gathering to strike. Fear spread among the people, but Ibrahim stood calm. "Every change faces resistance," he said. "If we are tested tonight, let us face it with courage." His friend trembled. "We don't have enough men, we can't win this." Ibrahim placed a hand on his shoulder. "Weapons don't win wars. Courage does." Soon the enemy marched in, confident and armed. Ibrahim stepped forward. His voice like thunder, "This land no longer belongs to tyrants. If you wish to silence us, come. But know this, you cannot kill the truth." The poor man watched in awe. Fear melted into fire. For the first time, he saw a true leader standing before him. And so the first test began, not just a battle of weapons, but of wills. A test that would decide whether Ibrahim's dream would live or die tonight. The battle had barely ended when another storm rose, not from the enemy outside, but from within. One of Ibrahim's own men, a face he trusted, whispered secrets to their rivals. When the truth came out, his friend cried in anger, "How could he betray you? After all you've done?" Ibrahim's eyes did not flinch. "Power tests loyalty," he said quietly. "And betrayal is the price every leader must pay." Instead of punishment, Ibrahim chose wisdom. He turned to his soldiers and declared, "Let this betrayal remind us our fight is not for wealth or power. Our fight is for justice, and justice cannot be destroyed by traitors." His words struck deeper than any sword. The people once shaken rose even stronger. The betrayal, instead of breaking Ibrahim, had made him unshakable. The dust of battles had finally settled. What began as the story of a poor young man working with his hands had transformed into the legend of a leader who carried the weight of a nation on his shoulders. Ibrahim Traoré was no longer just a soldier. He was a symbol, a reminder that greatness does not come from wealth, titles, or privilege. It comes from courage, sacrifice, and the strength to rise again after every fall. His people, once divided and hopeless, now walked with their heads high. They believed again. They dreamed again. And above all, they fought not for themselves, but for each other. Standing on the same streets where he once searched for work, Ibrahim looked at the faces of his people. Smiles replaced fear, hope replaced despair. And in that moment, he knew. His journey had only just begun. A true leader, he said, is not the one who commands, but the one who serves. And that is how Ibrahim Traoré, the boy with nothing, became the man who gave his people everything. And if this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that even in the darkest times, hope can rise, then don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel, because more powerful stories just like Ibrahim's are waiting for you here. Stay inspired, stay strong, and never stop believing.